So there's a point I want to make. Recently, we did a 180 because of a written public comment, and that was concerning the use of a specific word in the Parks Pros plan. And I think if that had just come up during comment period, I don't know that that would have happened because we all read the email. We had a discussion at our pre-meeting, and then we took action that the resident requested that we take. To me, things that are written have more impact than just spoken word, because I think people are choosing their words more carefully and trying to make a bigger impact than somebody just, frankly, I think it throws off our meetings, especially, you know, when you start off at the beginning. Last week, you know, started off with personal attacks for everybody who was running for office. And that was a real fun way to start a meeting, you know, and it didn't get any better, and it got a whole lot worse. So
you can accept, right?
Pardon?
You can accept written comment as well as.
Oh, absolutely. We always
sure.
accept
You always
always accept written.
We don't have it in the same process right now. I mean, it just has it on there. We would need to add, you know, will be accepted until a specified date, and when there would be some tweaks to process, but absolutely, you can do both.
Denise?
I'd like to see more education of our community around the OPMA law and what it really says. Maybe certainly a statement about that, but and make it very clear and keep going back to that, because that is a frustration for the public when they're under the understanding that we have to allow it, and they talk about lawsuits and they, you know, and it just inflames everything. But the other point I'd like to make is I too have changed my mind on the dais after and sometimes I've been surprised at who changes my mind, you know, but it has been changed. That being said, I'm going to say the same thing I said during the shelter conversation. The world has changed.
Comment.
Okay.
I want to make you aware of something. You don't need to
I'm sorry.
I am such an easy.
the written only. I'm
not opposed to that.
I'm not opposed to it. In fact,
I'm really not opposed.
Would that allow, so just a question with the written only with this for clarification, would that allow us to actually get the comment to the correct people? Because that has been something that, you know, people stand up and they have an actual grievance, but it never gets to the right people because we can't require all the city staff or anybody to be in the room at the moment. That's
No, and I will say one of the advantages just as a staff person is that if you get the comment, so I think planning is a good example because sometimes their notice requirements require that people submit written comments by a certain point and then they get a chance to say it. So some of the best presentations we have are whenever we've gotten written comments in advance and then those are able to be incorporated into the presentation.
You
can do some research on the subject matter and find more people.
get an actual answer.
Yeah, and so
again, you're conducting business,
yeah.
you know.
Because that would be nice for community. Obviously, taking your time and speaking on something because you would either like an answer, or you want your voice heard, or you know you're using the avenue that you know of in city council to try to get to somebody who you haven't yet.
Right, and that was one of the criticisms that I think a lot of people had about public recognition. If you go back to the study session we had on that, was that people come and they speak, and they get this.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk back.
Yeah, you got to go. You know, we go on with the meeting, and it's it can be really icy and strange because it all these people seem so nice if they're supposed to be approachable and they're just staring at me and
We think
having the advance, we could be prepared, and then
Yes.
in our discussion, somebody could say, oh, and there was that person who wrote in asking about this, and this is not the situation, and like,
Mhm.
and put somebody
Well,
at ease easier.
Hopefully, the timeframe would be such that staff can review all of the written commentary and address a lot of those comments and concerns, or, what got missed in the packet, what wasn't clear that's creating a lot of confusion in the community, and so that, that can be addressed. So that's certainly an advantage.
Next, Mr. Camacho, go ahead, sir.
Jose Camacho, friend of Smith Cove, Rock the Block. In 1972, the Supreme Court ruled that vagrancy law, as an entire body of centuries-old law, was just outright wrong, and he essentially said it was un-American. The term vagrant isn't even used. It took Bremerton to resurrect a dead word and an unconstitutional concept, and it is interspersed throughout the PROS plan. Mr. Barker didn't apologize or retract the plan, which is what I asked when I pointed out the wrongfulness of that word vagrant being used in the PROS plan. That's why he's removing it. So good for him. It's a little bit late because the survey had the leading question to the public. If you say the parks are this or that, is it because of the vagrant issues? So this is a leading question. It essentially teaches and indoctrinates the public to look at homelessness as inherently a problem of criminality. And it was my fear that the culture in the city and the parks was exactly that, because Mockler had proposed hosing the homeless. And I was shocked, and I identified myself as one. I've slept in parks. So that was my fear. I asked, can you stop the clock and reconsider whether this is a thing? And the PROS plan indicates that it is a thing. The parks are the primary public space for people to simply be. There is no other example of a pure sanctuary for urban people. So now when the homeless go there, including with their advocates and communities, just to have a break and celebrate or relax, to sleep, to relax, sit down, whatever, now they're targets. The city has an unconstitutional targeting regime that is called the anti-camping ordinance. I've seen the videos. It's unconstitutional. You won't let people be. You treat the poor very distinctly from regular people. We've seen it. Jocelyn's testified about it for years. So now in the place of sanctuary, of peace, meditation, you guys are okay with having the public drop the dime and target any person who looks poor. It's a disgrace. And Mr. Barker and you guys should have no problem saying, my bad, we're sorry, we're going to retract this, we're going to start over. You have yet to censure Mockler for her disgraceful comment. And she's a human being, and we all F up. But that was a milestone in depravity for an elected official. It's not impartial. That targets the poor. The PROS plan should be withdrawn. You should not vote on it.
Hi, I'm Sarah. And JJ.
And JJ, yeah.
Sorry, I'm nervous. We're homeless and we stay in the shelter. I'm a mom, so is JJ.
Most of them moms.
Most of the women at the shelter are moms with small children as well. There's elderly, disabled, LGBTQ, all walks of life in there. And we have to leave the shelter at 9 a.m. and can't return until 4. And a lot of times we go to the parks, take our kids there. There's ladies there that go there to feed the birds and just enjoy the park, mind our business. We're not criminals, we're not vagrants, we're just people. You wanna say
Yeah,
something?
and so, using this kind of verbiage in our community is just really hurtful and harmful to people. And I don't know if you guys realize that, but like yesterday, like the babies, like we have 3 girls with babies and they're sitting out in the rain and you're persecuting us like this. It's just not okay. And I think that we need to reevaluate as a community the way that we're treating our citizens. So,
Yeah, and just keep all that in mind when you're making your plans.
thanks.
And I know the word vagrant wasn't, the people who wrote the survey and wrote the pros plan weren't aware of how offensive that word is. And so luckily, we now have a diversity and equity manager on staff who I spoke with her earlier today, and each time some sort of survey is brought up to the council for approval for it to be sent out, I'm going to ask that she review it for language that is offensive to other people. It wasn't meant to be that way, and I'm sorry that it was previously included, and Director Barker was in full agreement that he could remove the reference. Now, we can't start the process all over again.
Why not?
Because we don't have the money to do that, and we need to have the plan in place in order to try to get grants for improvements to our park system.
The homeless don't matter.
No worries. Point of order.